Bear down, Bears fans, and Merry Christmas. We got a couple things to go over today. Keenan Allen latest comment hints that he's looking forward to his Chicago Bears exit. We've got Kmet coming out publicly and saying, I'm done trying to find positives on this team. Braxton Jones injured for the rest of the season. Ben Johnson wants to have an interview with the Chicago Bears, and there appears to be a plan in place for fixing the offensive line from the people who brought you the current offensive line. So if you're concerned, you have every reason to be. Hit the like button on your way in. Let's kick it off, and let's start with Keenan Allen. Now, I've been vocal about it. I don't want Keenan Allen here. I don't dislike Keenan Allen. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with him, but the cost of holding on to a receiver who I think is on the downside of his career, to me is prohibitive, and I think that it would be nice if he were to move on. Now, his latest comments come with him saying something of the same thing. In recent weeks, his connection with Caleb Williams has taken center stage, which again, I am also opposed to as well. Why he's doing all this, why Thomas Brown is putting Keenan Allen into this position, to me just does not make any sense. These passes, these plays should be going to people who will be on the team for sure next season, who are on the upside of their career, not the downside. We are in fire sale mode. Keenan Allen shouldn't be getting a whole bunch of receptions. Who should be getting receptions? Rome Odunze. Maybe even bringing in Tyler Scott, giving him a drink, letting him have an opportunity to run some routes here, giving him some opportunity because you're going to need him probably next year because Keenan Allen's not going to be here. Allen's success has led questions about whether there's a path towards him returning to the Bears. He previously stated his desire to return to the Bears, but when speaking with reporters on Sunday, he had a different tune. You got to prove it to all 32 teams. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. The last name on your back is really what matters. The part on the front of your jersey is what's supposed to matter to a teammate, but to Allen, it's the one on the back of the jersey. The idea of Allen returning to the Bears is similar to looking at Allen through the lens of the Bears' struggle. While he hasn't fully lived up to his expectation, he's been far from the team's biggest problem. And look, when you say that, let me go back and say, how many drop passes have we seen atypical of Keenan Allen in this year? We haven't really seen the same thing from DJ Moore. We've had a lot of targets of Keenan Allen and a lot of drops, a lot more drops than we've had for a long period of time. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about Keenan Allen and whether you think he should continue to be part of the Chicago Bears. Next up, Kmet is really just over it, and he should be. At this point, he should be. I'm kind of done finding positives, says Kmet, delivers an eye-popping response after the 34-17 loss to the Lions. So he says he was asked to look for any positives in the game. I mean, I'm kind of done doing that, I have been through this now, 2 years ago. I felt like you're trying to find positive things, and, it's hard for me to, be real with myself and find positives when it's 34-17. Look, here's the thing. The defense is not stopping anybody. The defense that was supposed to be the backbone of this team is no longer stopping people. Part of the reason for that, and by the way, what do you think of Kmet? Do you think that he's right? Let me know in your comment section down below. But, we're talking about an offensive line that fell apart. We're talking about a defensive line that fell apart. We're talking about really the only bright spot is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has looked like a star. And look, there are holes in his game. I'm not telling you, if you're one of those guys, I don't like paint fingernails, or whatever it is that you say. That's how you sound in my brain when you say that. But if you have a problem with Caleb Williams, you're not thinking clearly. The guy's got 3,200 passing yards, 16, 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He has fumbled a little bit, but he's not turning the ball over at a huge level. This guy has looked really good, and he continues to look good when he shouldn't look good on a team that doesn't look good. He is the bright spot here. Rome Odunze is a bright spot here. DJ Moore is a bright spot here. Kmet has reason to be a bright spot. If Thomas Brown or one of these rocket scientists that we apparently have hired would throw him the ball, he's one of the more efficient tight ends in all of football. Go look at the number of targets versus the number of receptions. This guy is a magnet for the ball, and we're not throwing it to him. Just think that through for just a second and explain to me why. What is it about DJ Moore? Leave your comment down below. What is the reason? What is it? Why does DJ Moore get all the throws? Talent? Yeah. Why does Keenan Allen? Talent? Yeah. Why does Rome Odunze? Talent? Yeah. Why doesn't Kmet? What is different about Kmet? Is it tight end? Is it because he's in the position of tight end? Are we, for some reason, our progressions are not really getting to that tight end? Like, that's your outlet guy. But those outlet, by the way, they go to DeAndre Swift. And look, it's great for DeAndre Swift. He's he catches it out of the backfield. He's got breakaway potential. He's got the opportunity. But why is Cole Kmet not getting the ball more? Like, why are we not leaning into arguably one of the top 5 tight ends in the league, top 10 tight ends in the league? Why are we not leaning into this? It makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, let's move on from there. Let me know what you think about Cole Kmet in the comment section down below. Insiders are now revealing, by the way, what the offensive line replacement should look like. And look, this is what's being said. It's a shame because Jones has been on the field. We're talking about Braxton Jones right now. He also missed 2 games in the middle of the season with a knee injury. You can make a case he has been a consistent as an offensive player. Here, the bar isn't really high for that accolade, but the Bears' issues start on the offensive line from guard to guard, and it's where I believe the focus will be in rebuilding. Now, look, we had a really good guy out here in Bill Murray who came out of nowhere, and we love the name, obviously. Are you a Bill Murray fan? If you are, let me know in the description down below. But Ryan Bates just really, he's played about 2 games, just really it threw money at somebody who's been injured for basically an entire season. And look, I'm going to say it because nobody else will. We desperately needed Ryan Bates to be that guy, and he was not. Coleman Shelton did an admirable job at the center position, given the circumstances and given the fact that, Ryan Bates is certainly, I think, in my opinion, was a better guy, a little more hard-nosed, and Bill Murray was a great guard as well. Look, Nate Davis is a disaster, but the question now is, what does this offensive line look like? Well, first of all, depth. We clearly, even with the depth that we had some fragile players, and I don't want to mean that in a disrespectful manner, but let me know what you think of Ryan Bates. I mean, how we barely got him into the games. He's on IR again. His season is effectively over. Bill Murray is on the IR. His season effectively over. These are 2 strong guards that we had on the roster along with Tevin Jenkins that were able to, and we just didn't get what we thought we were going to get out of these people. Coleman Shelton, of course, in the first couple games looked just like a disaster. So interior blocking has been a significant weakness for this team for years. Nate Davis is already cut. Matt Pryor is a backup. Tevin Jenkins and Coleman Shelton will both be free agents. Some may want Jenkins back. Unfortunately, his track record of poor health hasn't improved much. And by the way, it's very rare that Tevin Jenkins even finishes a game at this point. So, he's just been sore and he's been injured, and he's not as durable as we had hoped. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Bears decide to do at the guard position. Let me know, do you think that we should re-sign Tevin Jenkins? Let me know in the comments down below, and we can talk about that. Now, somebody who should be back next year, Braxton Jones, who will miss the rest of the season after suffering a fractured ankle. So, this is not a testament to him. He's been one of the better players that we've had on that offensive line, or at least one of the most consistent forces. So, we're certainly hoping to see Braxton Jones continue his improvement. Initial diagnosis is a broken fibula. The recovery period is 4 months, and he'll miss the rest of the NFL season, but he should be back at the start of training camp. And look, we don't want to see that happen. We don't want to see that to any Bears player. But if we're shutting it down already, then if it could happen at a time, this is the perfect time for it to happen at the end of a listless season, et cetera, et cetera. But I do expect to see Braxton Jones. Let me know, do you think Braxton Jones should be back or will be back? I think that he's graded out as a fine offensive tackle. Darnell Wright a little bit below him, but still also a fine offensive tackle. Have they been great? No. Have they been good? Yes. And all we need is good. We need good guards, good center, good tackles, and we should be fine. If we get great out of anybody, awesome. But good is good enough. Let me know what you think in the comments down below about that. And let's talk about the last and most important topic here. Ben Johnson is expected to interview by the Bears, and he is intrigued by the job. Now, the question that you're going to ask yourself here is, do you want $15 million spent on a project who is number 5, and number 3 in the last 3 years on offense using Jared Goff. Jared Goff was a castaway for the Los Angeles Rams, chose to trade for Matthew Stafford. They went on to win a Super Bowl. Jared Goff was a forgotten memory. Now Jared Goff is pushing into the playoffs, looking like the best team in the league, while Matthew Stafford and the Rams kind of fell apart. So, that begs the question, do we want somebody like Ben Johnson? How would he handle being an offensive mind on a team? Let me know what you think about Ben Johnson in the comments down below. And let me point something out here. One of the problems and one of the things that I told you guys before is when Thomas Brown was taking this job as the interim head coach, this was a mistake. Thomas Brown was able to play a decent game as the offensive coordinator. Great? No. Good? Yes. Simplified the scheme, gave Caleb Williams everything he needed in order to execute. Now that he's the head coach, guess what? He's not able to focus on the offensive coordinating, and guess what? The result is the offense is not running on all cylinders. Not only that, Eric Washington is not stopping anybody with the defense. Richard Hightower, the special teams coach, not that special teams is a throwaway position, but it would have been the throwaway position to make an interim head coach out of. Because what you did is you created a situation for Thomas Brown, turned him into a lame duck instead of allowing him to excel at the position that he is naturally good at. And as soon as Matt Eberflus was gone, this team fell apart because the glue that really kind of held everything together was gone, and Thomas Brown is the guy that now looks bad because of it. And you might say to yourself, well, Thomas Brown doesn't actually look bad. Well, he's given up, we're losing by an average of 20 points. We're giving up over 30 points a game. We're scoring a lot fewer points per game. We're scoring 14 points per game, where we were scoring 22 points per game in the games prior when Thomas Brown was the interim offensive coordinator. So you can tell me that, but one touchdown less per game and then giving up an extra 15 points per game says entirely differently. He looks bad at this point. He looks like he's a fish out of water. He's out of his depth. What do you think of Thomas Brown? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Look, I think it's very, very simple here. Ben Johnson is probably going to be the next coach. If not, then I would assume Mike Vrabel. But look, it's going to take a while for the playoffs to play themselves out. A lot of teams are going to be reaching out very, very soon. They're going to start making moves in about 2 weeks. The Bears are going to need to make a move pretty soon, or we could see some dominoes start to fall. Mike Vrabel ends up going to another team somewhere. Joe Brady ends up going to another team somewhere. It's a matter of how late and how deep into the playoffs the Detroit Lions go, which they could be a Super Bowl contender. If that's the case, then we'd be talking about February before we have a coach, we have anything lined up. And then, of course, there's going to be some of you guys who just don't like Ben Johnson. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Bear down, guys. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you again very, very soon.